Our history books are filled with stories of remarkable Canadians who helped to build this country, but oftentimes the stories and accomplishments of Black Canadians are not included. Jeff A.D. Martin, an author and motivational speaker, is changing that with his new children's book titled Brothers from Canada and Sisters from Canada. The book includes short stories about role models in Black Canadian history, from the first millionaire to Canada's first Black lawyer. And Jeff is with us in studio this morning. Welcome to your morning.
Oh, thank you so much. So glad to be here, Anne-Marie.
Listen, as I said to you when I sat down, I learned things from this book, so I appreciate you putting this all together. Some of these people I wasn't aware of, like the first Black person to set foot in Canada. This is an amazing story. Can you share it with everybody?
Yeah, so Matthew DaCosta, they say, on record, he is the first Black person to arrive to Canada, again, on record. And he was such an intelligent man because they said that he spoke over 10 different languages. In fact, he was in high demand by those who were exploring the world at that time for him to travel with them. So they're paying him a lot of money. And it's funny because when he arrived to Canada—
in 1604, somewhere around then,
in
right?
1604, yeah. And he was able to translate with the indigenous people who were already here. So it shows the level of intelligence of this man. And it's a story that I think is fascinating, but again, a story that isn't often told.
In that picture that we were just showing, that depiction, there's also two young boys who show up in a lot of these pictures. Who are those boys?
Yeah, so those are my two younger sons, Chauncey and Carter. And on the girls' side is my nieces, Leah and Aria. I just wanted to include them and have them in the book and, have them a part of what I'm doing.
I love that so much. You also included a story about Black soldiers in Canada. And why was that story in particular for you important to put in the book?
Oh man, I grew up in Toronto and I learned about and had so much respect for Remembrance Day. And one of the things I just didn't see was images of soldiers who resembled me during my time growing up. And so as I got older and started to do my own research, I learned so much about the soldiers and some of the soldiers that were a part of the wars that have taken place. Going back to the Black loyalists who were fighting for their freedom, fighting along the British trying to gain their freedom, and then going on to World War I, the number 2 construction battalion, who, again, just was having a tough time getting involved in the war, wanting to fight for the country, but having people trying to hold them back. And so it was important for me to learn more than just what I was taught in school. I
love one of the devices that you've used in this book. So you've got the brothers on one side. I used to love flip books when I was in elementary, so you've got the sisters on the other. Can we talk about one of the women in particular that you've pulled from here? And people may recognize this name and certainly the store, Beverly Maskell.
Oh, she was such a great entrepreneur. She started working in the beauty industry for a company, and right away she recognized that there was a need for Black women's hair products and makeup, something that just wasn't out there at that time. And so she took it on herself to create something, her and her husband. They went to the bank trying to get a bank loan, and the bank couldn't see. They didn't have the foresight that she did with Black women's hair products and Black women's makeup. And she went ahead, put her own money in, started selling these products from her trunk, and then ultimately teaming up with a company in the United States. And she blew it up. And even to this day, she was able to create such an amazing situation where people, even to this day, are affected. Hairdressers and barbers that have been really guided through her mentorship.
One of the things you've put in this book, which I love, is there's this massive list. There's 2 of them, in fact, of all of these different names. And we were talking about it's okay to not know as long as you're looking for answers. This is an incredible resource for anybody who's looking for more names and more research.
Absolutely. The fact that Martin Luther King was here in Canada at one point in time speaking, Malcolm X came to Canada to speak, to Toronto to speak. These things are not, again, often talked about. So when we hear about the greatness that they've done against someone like Martin Luther King, we hear about that, but it's a U.S. base. And of course, most of his work was out that way. But the fact to know that he came here to speak, and so maybe our parents or grandparents perhaps could have had the chance to go see him, is just a phenomenal thing. Again, information that's not necessarily sitting there and available.
You end the book on a quote from yourself, and you're saying you wanted to give kids permission. What did you mean by the word permission?
I think representation is extremely important. And when you can see someone who either looks like you or sounds like you, or even just from your neighborhood, and they're doing great things, it shows you that you can do the same thing as well. It opens an idea, a path for you. And so I want to give the kids permission to let them know you can be great. You can go out there and do amazing things and really be the next ones who are in a book like this, or create your own book. The world is open to all of us, and I want the children who read this book to know that.
It's a really great children's book and a fabulous resource for any adults in their lives. Thanks, Jeff, so much for coming in. A reminder,
thank you.
You can buy Brothers from Canada and Sisters from Canada at jeffadmartin.com.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.